Good morning, everybody. My name's Scott Topp. I'm the Senior VP for Avatar Partners, and our mission is to help you perform yours better. And our job is to make it easier to perform your mission. So what I'm going to talk about here is we deal in what I call the knowledge supply chain or information supply chain. So what does that mean? When you think of logistics or supply chain management, a lot of what you think about is the right thing being in the right place at the right time. Our job at Avatar Partners is to put the right information at the right place at the right time. So we're an advanced training company, but what I'll show you about today is we're going to deal with is how we're advancing using proven technology to advance training. So think about it this way. When we're talking about it today, I'm going to show you some examples of augmented reality and a little bit of holographic reality. But for us at Avatar Partners, we didn't choose the technology per se, the technology chose us. So what do I really mean by that? Well, if you think about it, we were looking for a way to reduce time on task. We're looking for ways to reduce operator or maintenance mistakes. So what we found is, like you, sir, talked about YouTube, it was much quicker than reading, right? And certainly much quicker than dropping it off and repairing something. So quicker, and it's much less ambiguous. So there was a study done by Iowa State and Boeing where we had some college-age kids building basically a sample wing out of like an erector set. And the first part here was they gave them 3 different tools. They gave them basically a textbook. Who's ever put together one of those IKEA stick furnitures with the crappy instructions? Yeah, so you raised your hand? Did you put it together the right way or the wrong way and had to disassemble it a little bit and re-put it back together? A little bit of both, right? So this is your crummy IKEA directions right here. So you think about the mistake rate, 8 errors on the first try, 4 on the second try. When we get into here, YouTube style videos, interactive video, much better results. But look at the final result on the right. And think about it this way. If you're a warfighter or an operational commander, that decrease, if you will, is operational readiness. If you're a program manager, that's money, right? That's total ownership cost. Reduction in time on task, reduction in mistakes. So imagine it this way. Brand new guy checks into your unit. Day 1, they're performing a complex task with little to no mistakes. I mean, pretty amazing stuff. So that's where we get into here. So let's talk about a practical example of what we mean. In 2006, an electrician miswired the polarity of a digital end controller on an MV-22 Marine Corps Osprey aircraft. So what does that mean in reality? That's the example of you taking your car to the mechanic and then reversing the polarity of your accelerator. So imagine you doing that, you start the car up and all of a sudden it takes off full force through the garage door. That's what happened on this particular ground turn. It was not manned by a pilot. They started up the aircraft and immediately the engine went to full power. So the aircraft got airborne unexpectedly. They were able to shut the engine down, but not before completely destroying the right wing. And ultimately, that aircraft, from that one miswiring, never flew again. So think about the consequences of one mistake ruining an entire aircraft, a very simple mistake on an electrical connection. So that's where we started with the demo that you'll be able to show you at the end of this when we think about electrical repair. But this is applicable to any type of repair, any type of operation, as I'll show you. So think about it this way. We take a typical aircraft repair example. In this case, it's an F-18 Hornet. We need 3 different tools to do that repair. We need the Interactive Electronic Technical Manual, or IETM. We need a wire illuminator, which shows us a little bit schematically of where the wire goes, but doesn't show you actually where it is on the airplane. And we have a paper schematic, which aren't like the old ones. I'm not sure if you old guys have seen, like me, have seen the old paper schematics that you can lay out across the shop floor. These are in a tiny little binder. So taking all these 3 things, all these 3 tools, takes a typical, for this particular troubleshooting problem, takes a pretty decent electrician about 3 to 4 hours to figure it out. What these tools don't give you are the actual locations of these junction points along this wire run from the landing gear here to the landing gear control unit here. Now, what if we were to take all that information, every single part of that, and put it together for you on a heads-up display? So me as a 20-year F-18 pilot, I had a heads-up display to help me fly better. Wouldn't it make sense for every other people, all the other folks maintaining aircraft, et cetera, to have a heads-up display to have them do their job better? So that's what we've discovered via our own testing as well as industry testing. Finally, I'm going to give you another example of some of the really impressive nature of augmented reality and what we can do. So we took a look at non-combatant evacuation operations, which are being executed by all different types of services, all different types of forces across the world. We're able to nowadays scan an embassy using a LiDAR scanner. What we do with our own 3D printers, we can actually print a replica of that embassy. Think about this. How long did it take to build models of the Bin Laden compound? Probably hours, days, maybe. In a 3D printer, we can print that thing in about an hour and then actually have an augmented reality system overlaying our plan on the 3D printed printout. So what does that mean to you is I can actually have 3D collaboration. I can show fields of fire, I can show consequence, I can show, and I can practice over and over. Then I can take that exact replica, and I can show you if you want when I'll be around in the back for a few minutes after. I actually have the life-size version of it here, so I can overlay that entire scenario in this room here. So quickly in summary, what are we doing that's not being done today by folks already? Well, the first is object tracking. So the last time I checked, our aircraft, our weapons, our vehicles don't have handy little Q codes that you put your cell phone on to trigger an AR experience. So we use object tracking. In the case of the HoloLens that I have up front, we use the nose landing gear of the F-18 aircraft to be able to project the actual augmented reality experience on top of the airplane. Next, the one thing we're doing is we're developing these modules and using an agile development process that's extremely modular. We're also architecting it using an industry standard database. Now, what all the fancy words means, it's simple. It means we can put out updates very, very fast, and we can reduce the total ownership cost because everything is in a common source database. The actual information is going to be available to you in the field, but the way it's developed is a cloud-based system to allow us to be able to just grab old, reuse old content and make it much, much easier to allow you to update it. And finally, the most important part of this is what if you're able to take a training tool as well as a manual and have that be the same thing? So the tool we use to train ourselves to repair airplanes or repair vehicles or plan a mission could be the same thing we use to rehearse and execute and do the actual job.